Thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Senator Godswill Akpabio has tendered his resignation as minority leader of the Senate. The letter, dated August 4th and addressed to the Senate Deputy Minority Leader Emmanuel Bwacha and the People's Democratic Party lawmakers, did not state any reason for the resignation. Akpabio, however, thanked the Senate minority leadership and referred to the PDP as our great party for giving him the opportunity to lead the caucus for 3 years. The senior special assistant to the president on National Assembly matters, Senator Itai Nang, says the presidency is not contemplating and will not be a party to anything that will destabilize the National Assembly. The presidential aide said this on Monday in reaction to allegations that some senators are planning to illegally reconvene the Senate. He said, "I am not on the floor and it is not within the contemplation at all of the executive, and we are always in support of the legislature acting within the law and staying in harmony." The Osun State High Court sitting in Osogbo has fixed August 8, 2018 to rule on the suit challenging the eligibility of the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the state, Senator Ademola Adeleke. Citing Section 177D of Nigerian Constitution, the plaintiffs, Mr. Rashid Olatunji and Mr. Idowu Oluwasoyin, had on July 3, 2018, approached the court, contending that the PDP candidate was not eligible to participate in the primary election of the party because, according to them, he did not possess the minimum educational qualification required. They therefore prayed the court to set the result of the election aside. On July 26, 2018, at the returned hearing on the matter, the court adjourned the case till August 1 for definite hearing, but the process was stalled following a request by the plaintiffs for out-of-court settlement, a development that led to further adjournment of the case until yesterday, August 6. Appearing before the court, Barrister Olufemi Ayondokun, the lead counsel to the plaintiffs, revealed that the parties could not go on with the dialogue. Pro-transparency experts are calling for more transparency in Nigeria's budget implementation process while reviewing the nation's 2017 budget performance in Abuja. They say there is a need to be more open to public scrutiny in an effort to reduce corruption. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, reports. We'll bring you that report in a subsequent bulletin. There seems to be no end in sight for former workers of Nigeria Airways over the final payment of their 45 billion naira severance benefits. The struggle of the over 3,000 workers of the defunct airline continue, even after recent promise by the National Assembly to make due payments. Abba Ocheme, General Secretary of National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, as well as other ex-workers of the defunct airline, say, contrary to reports of approval, their plea for their entitlement still remain unattended to. Our correspondent, David Alabi, reports.
It is over 14 years since the liquidation of Nigeria Airways Limited took effect, and Nigerian counterparts of the former national carrier are yet to be settled amidst protests requesting their payment, with the latest promise of the signing of the approval of severance packages by the National Assembly. Before the lawmakers embarked on a 2-month recess, former staff of Nigeria Airways, Abba Ocheme, describes the news as a hoax.
The initial information that as it was reported in some press, that the National Assembly had given approval to this payment before the recess, has turned out to be false. We now understand no such approval came. The jubilation had, resounded very heavily when the information about the approval by the Federal Executive Council came last year. And from that time up till now, nothing. And there isn't even a sign that there will still be something in any while soon.
Aviation unions have been at the forefront driving this cause, and there is a plan of action underway. These unions say the new national carrier Nigeria Air will not take off until the needful is done.
The three unions are briefed. You can be sure that the unions will take clear-cut and decisive actions to compel government to do what they are supposed to do.
Femi Ajagbe, a former catering officer of Nigeria Airways between the years of 1995 to 2004, recounts life so far.
It's even worse for some people who cannot, especially the elderly ones who are among us. For example, I'm still young, but those who have in their 60s, 70s, it's difficult. I had to relocate my family personally, my wife and my children, back to my parents because it was difficult to pay school fees, it was difficult to pay house rent.
Meanwhile, Olumide Onwayo of the Aviation Roundtable cites reasons foreign nationals of the former carrier got their entitlements paid almost immediately.
The laws of the country where they were domiciled protected them. So it was on that basis that the government was forced to pay that money. For those Nigerians, weak institutions, weak structures, weak laws enabled the government to liquidate without making any plans.
So far, Nigeria's Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has not made any new revelation concerning the entitlements of the aggrieved workers. Reporting for Plus TV Africa, David Ala.
Nigeria's response to disease threats and outbreak was tested in 2014 with the Ebola virus that claimed the lives of at least 7 people and were caught unawares. With the current Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring countries under threat, major health stakeholders and private sector champions came together to fashion out lasting solutions to curb the menace, both preventive and curative. Our correspondent, Susan Jasper, reports.
4 years ago, the deadly Ebola virus hit Africa, and Nigeria was not spared. We were not ready. We didn't know how to respond, but we did anyway. And it took the collective effort of public, private, and social sectors to bring the outbreak to a halt. 4 years down the line, how prepared are we in the event of a disease outbreak? In the wake of these questions, a private sector roundtable on health security was hosted by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control in collaboration with the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. In retrospect, while speaking at the roundtable, the Nigerian Minister for Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, noted that lives was not the only thing lost to the Ebola outbreak. The Nigerian economy was not spared.
A World Bank report on the economic impact of the 2014 outbreak indicated that the loss would be as high as $25 billion.
One major area of concentration is the need to move from reactionary and fragmented responses to deliberate, primed and coordinated responses, which, and to this effect, the Alliance for Epidemic Preparedness and Response was inaugurated.
The A4EP platform is a platform that we hope that we plan to convene private sector to assist the NCDC's 4-year strategic plan.
We have deliberately decided at the ministry to partner with the private sector for quite a number of reasons. One, we want to really benefit from the efficiency, the result-oriented approach of the private sector and the resources available in the private sector. We must also recognize that the private sector has been a strong pillar of support. In the malaria sector, they've strongly supported us. And now we're trying to bring all of them together to work through an organized platform.
Our work actually happens all the time. We've responded 34 times this year to different small clusters of cases in the states. No one hears about this, but this is how we like our work. We really don't want a big outbreak, because when a big outbreak happens, it means that we have failed somewhere along the line.
There is no need to have a red alert or lose lives to a disease threat before proactive measures are taken to ensure that Nigeria responds swiftly, promptly, and better still, prevent disease outbreaks. Susan Jasper, Plus TV Africa.
We'll now bring you that report on budget implementation by our correspondent Amadine Uyi.
2014 and 2018, Nigeria's budget rose from 4.96 trillion naira to about 9.12 trillion naira. Also, cost of capital expenditure steadily increased in an effort to improve public infrastructure. However, figures from Nigeria's presidency indicates that 67% of Nigerians now live below poverty line, an estimated 132 million persons. Pro-transparency experts say this is because the budget in the last few years has not lived up to expectations.
We have a lot of unrealistic budgeting. Let's ensure that our budgets are informed by clear needs assessment that reflects the earnings of citizens in the country.
One of the problems we are lacking is a synergy between what is happening in the community, between what is happening with the National Assembly, and between what the federal government is proposing in terms of budget implementation.
While the budget has continuously been in public view, the same cannot be said of its implementation process by government officials. Experts believe if this is more transparent, the public gets to benefit.
If the funds are transparently and effectively utilized, then we'll see improvement in the livelihood of citizens across board.
There is need that when budget is made, it is implemented, and it involves, like we said, transparency, accountability, and openness.
With the National Assembly saddled with the task of oversighting the executive, especially in relation to budget spending, the experts are also urging the federal lawmakers to build their capacity in budget monitoring and work in the interest of Nigerians.
For every amount of money that we need to spend in Nigeria, let there be clear mechanism for oversight, for monitoring and evaluation, and for impact assessment.
There are a lot of projects. Every year they are renewed. The percentage of implementation is not known. And some of the projects, like they really pointed out, are below standard. And so money is just being siphoned, recycling some of these projects that some of them are not of meaningful benefit to the community.
It is hoped that with more transparency and adequate oversight, Nigerians will begin to enjoy the benefits of an annual budget cycle. Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return.
Hey, Anu!
Dad.
Look, I got something for you.
A football chassis?
Hey, Adu, come watch a game with your uncle and I.
Please, come.
I'm okay, thanks.
The kind of person that you asked me to be. My brother say he love me, I love him too. I tell him I will do anything for you. But it's strange.
Did you see how many goals they have scored?
I no get you.
They scored
I look up like this, say who are you?
So Daddy, you showed those blues pepper yesterday, right?
We sure did.
Those 3 points are sure for us today.
Remind me how.
Game's about to start. Quickly.
Cote d'Ivoire President Alassane Ouattara on Monday announced amenities for around 800 people, including former First Lady Simone Gbagbo, who is currently behind bars in the name of national reconciliation. Last week, Cote d'Ivoire's Supreme Court overturned an earlier acquittal granted to Gbagbo for crimes against humanity. The wife of former President Laurent Gbagbo, in power from 2000 to 2010, will soon be freed. Ouattara said during a televised address to the West African nation on the eve of the country's Independence Day, Laurent Gbagbo has been in detention at the International Criminal Court at The Hague for 7 years. Since 2016, he has been tried for alleged crimes against humanity during post-election unrest in 2010. The African Union yesterday called for the rights and freedom of all Congolese to be upheld amid mounting tensions over the country's presidential race. The influential Catholic Church and the European Union also sought to persuade the DR Congo regime to ensure the elections. Candidates must submit their applications to run in DR Congo's long-delayed election due on December 23 by Wednesday evening. Ghana has explained that Nigerian traders were not affected by the recent quit notice to foreigners to vacate the country's retail markets. The Ghanaian Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ms. Shirley Ayoko Bochwe, made the explanation on Monday in Abuja when she paid a courtesy visit to her Nigerian counterpart, Mr. Geoffrey Oyema. Foreign nationals engaged in retail business in Ghana were on July 11 issued a quit notice to vacate the country's markets. Ghanaian law reserves operation of retail business only for citizens. The National Association of Nigerian Traders had warned that a quit notice could spark xenophobic attacks. However, Bochwe maintains that Nigerians and other ECOWAS citizens were not affected by the quit notice. 5 police have been killed in fresh violence in Western Cameroon, where English-speaking separatists have declared an independent state, security sources and witnesses said on Monday. 4 Ghanaians were killed in Esu, a village near the town of Wum in Northwest region, when their unit came under attack on Sunday, a source close to the regional security services said. In neighboring southwest region, a police officer named Eka Njume was killed on Sunday at his home in Mutengene near the capital by unidentified assailants, according to witnesses in local press reports. The 2 regions are predominantly home to English speakers, a minority comprising about a fifth of the 22 million people in Cameroon, a largely French-speaking West African state. Years of resentment among Anglophones at perceived discrimination fueled demands in 2016 for a return to the country's federal structure. President Paul Biya, who is 85 years old, took a hard line, ruling out any concessions. When we return, we will bring you updates on the fraud case involving President Trump's former campaign chairman and much more. Stay with us. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has hit out at the United States over its reinstatement of economic sanctions. He describes the measures, which came into effect overnight, as a psychological warfare which aimed to sow division among Iranians. The sanctions take aim at various sectors, with further punitive action planned against Iran's oil trade. The European Union has spoken out against the measures, vowing to protect firms doing legitimate business. It follows the U.S. withdrawal from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iran nuclear deal, earlier this year. Rick Gates, a longtime business associate of U.S. President Donald Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, on Monday testified that he helped Manafort file false tax returns and hide his foreign bank accounts. Gates is the government's star witness in its case against Manafort, who is accused of bank and tax fraud. Gates, who also served on Trump's campaign, pleaded guilty in February and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors under a deal that could lead to a reduced sentence. Taking the stand on the trial's 5th day, Gates admitted to helping Manafort doctor financial documents, hide foreign income, and cheat on his taxes. He said he was aware Manafort was acting as an unregistered foreign agent in lobbying for Ukraine. He said he engaged in the wrongdoing at Manafort's direction. Manafort's defense hinges on pinning the blame on Gates, who they accuse of embezzling millions of dollars from Manafort. North Korea released a South Korean citizen detained in July after crossing the border into the north, the South's Unification Ministry said on Tuesday. The prisoner was a 34-year-old man. He was detained after illegally entering North Korea last month, the ministry said. South Korean officials have pressed for the return of 6 other South Koreans believed to have been held for years in North Korea, and the Unification Ministry said they believed Seoul's release is a positive sign. In May, North Korea released 3 American prisoners in a gesture seen as clearing the way for June's summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump. After the Americans were released, the United Nations human rights investigator on North Korea, Thomas Quintana, issued a statement calling for the South Koreans to also be freed. Up next will be our business report with Edidion Iwang. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business. I'm Edidiong Iwang. Now, the acting president of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode are expected to lead other dignitaries today for the inauguration of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Clinic in Lagos. The two-day event, built to commence at Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, was an initiative of the Office of the Vice President in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, as well as 11 other federal agencies. We'll bring you details of the coverage in our subsequent bulletins. The Naira appreciated yesterday in the investors and exporters window to 361 Naira 96 kobo to the Greenbank. The strengthening of the Naira was shown in data from FMDQ, which showed a marginal drop from 362 Naira 67 kobo traded last week, and that's indicating a 71 kobo appreciation. The value of Naira against the Greenbank in the parallel market was stable at 358 Naira and 30 kobo. However, there was a significant decline of 63% in the volume of dollar traded in the window on Monday, which was $138.53 million from $372.67 million traded last week. Well, that's it on business. Up next is our roundup on entertainment and sports. Don't go away.
And in entertainment, and in accordance with reports reaching us now, some dinosaur bones have been found, to the shock and amazement of Nigerians in Mowe, Ogun State. Apparently, professionals have been called to the scene and they have ascertained that the bones are indeed dinosaur fossils. As this story is still developing, we will bring you more on the story once we know more. Popular Nigerian singer Burna Boy has honored Afrobeat legend Fela Anikulapo Kuti in a new video titled Ye. In the video, the singer tells on issues Nigerians deal with regards to a political undertone reminiscent of Fela. And that's not all. The dancers and outfits worn are also reminiscent of Fela's dancers. The video was produced by Clarence Peters and the album has 19 songs. Burna Boy is signed to Spaceship Entertainment. And that's it on entertainment. The very best in sports right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. In rugby, the national camp of the Nigeria Rugby Football Federation opened in Abuja with a full complement of 27 players. Two other players, the new national team coach, Mr. Brunson Ware, and team manager, Mr. Dele Coker, are to arrive later due to flight logistics. Meanwhile, the technical director of the Rugby Federation, Mr. Ntiense Williams, has taken charge of training using the coaches program which was sent up front. And according to the technical director, he is happy with the discipline and team morale. And the Africa Football Organized International Friendly Match is scheduled for Saturday, the 11th of August, 2018 in Niamey, the Niger Republic at 4 p.m. And in transfer, Super Eagles winger Moses Simon has joined Spanish La Liga outfit UD Levante on a 5-year deal from Belgian club KA Ghent. And Moses was earlier linked with a move to Liverpool, but has now pitched tent with the modest Spanish side. He joined Slovakia club AS Trenčín in 2014 from GBS Academy and scored 13 goals in 33 league appearances in his one season at the club before joining Ghent the following season, where he scored 21 goals in 108 league appearances. And Moses missed out on a place in Nigeria's squad to the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia due to injury. And that's it on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Thanks, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Have a great day.